Hi guys, Jimmy from Boxing Life. How's it going? As always, we're doing well tonight. And if you just joined, make sure to like the stream. Much appreciated. And tonight we're obviously going to be talking about big one of the weekend, Parker versus Wardley. So I'm really excited about this fight because it's getting as it gets closer. I've not changed my prediction, but I think it could be a lot closer than people are thinking. And I also wouldn't be surprised if we see an upset as well. Um, as much as Parker is the favorite, but I've got a sneaky suspicion that Wardley is going to make this a good fight. And no, I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good one. I don't know about you guys. The last month, it's obviously we had Dave Allen versus Makhmudov last. Was it last month? Last 2 weeks ago, or last week? I can't even remember. God, time flies sometimes. Eh? So I'm just putting on some background music to set the vibes, of course. So no, I thought today, kind of like I did with the last one, just kind of go over both guys' records and have a look at the undercard, give you my thoughts on the fight, and just look at some footage as well. Particularly some gaps in both fighters' styles, I guess, Wardley and Parker, and just kind of look at some areas where I think it could play out, and then also just see what some other people are predicting in terms of this fight, other heavyweights. So there's a post Queensberry posted. But we'll start off with the records. Why not? And as well, guys, if you have any questions or anything, just feel free to put it in the chat. I will get to it at some point. Or anything about the boxing world at the moment, happy to answer your questions, or about the channel. And we'll get onto it. And yeah, I just want to start with Joseph Parker and his last 5 opponents. And personally, there's question marks over those last 3 wins for me. And I know people have already touched on this, but I'll start off with Wilder, for example. I feel like, if we're being honest, he was past his best. He'd gone through those wars with Tyson Fury, knocked out pretty badly, for being honest. And it's funny, looking back. I actually look back at my prediction for that fight, and I had Wilder winning. I thought he might just be able to crack him. I still believed in his power, but hindsight, he just kind of looked very fragile, didn't he, in that fight, if you watch it back. And Joseph Parker, he fought under Andy Lee for a few fights, so he's kind of getting a grips of what Andy Lee was wanting him to do, and that's probably, I don't know, probably been his best fight under him, I would say, in terms of facing a kind of so-called top opponent. But like I said, Wilder was, let's be honest, he was past it by that point. And Zhang, obviously, still a dangerous puncher, isn't he? But he only really had 3 rounds in him, if you actually watch that fight. And you got the 2 knockdowns against Parker as well. But the issue with Zhang, he just didn't have the gas tank or the engine to push on and go for the finish against Parker. And that's where I worry about, this fight with Wardley. Wardley's obviously a younger guy. He's going to have that engine behind him if he smells blood. And yeah, it's a worrying thing for me if Parker was to get clipped at one point in this fight, get hurt. Wardley, we've seen many times, he'll go for the kill. And I don't know if Parker would be able to survive it, if I'm being frank, just because Wardley's such a big puncher. We saw even, the fight with Clark, the way, as soon as Clark made that one mistake, got hurt, he went for the kill. And it's like, if that happens to Parker, I don't know if he'll survive it, if I'm being frank. And as much as Wardley's a massive puncher, Parker's going to be switched on for the for the whole evening. He can't switch off at any moment. And the other thing about Parker is he is very durable. You know, he showed in that Zhang fight that he can survive the rounds and keep it up, you know. And then I guess just in terms of Bacoli, you know, he was such a last minute replacement. He was over 300 pounds coming into it. Yeah, and he was always going to be unfit going in. He wasn't going to be fight fit going into that, no matter what. And there was a couple of moments I thought, wow, I don't know you guys, but I thought, wow, Bacoli might actually get Parker here. But yeah, he just wasn't fight fit. And then obviously Parker was able to time with that big right hand over the top. So yeah, I'm just those three fights, and that's the other thing. Those guys were obviously Bacoli's a bit younger, but like I said, he wasn't fight fit. He was coming into it late notice. Whereas Zhang and Wilder, you know, they are kind of past it at that stage. And for being frank about that Zhang fight, Park kind of scraped through it in the end. But you know, Zhang's a tricky guy. He's a southpaw. He's technically very good, quick with his hands, despite being slow at the same time. He's got a weird style, Zhang, I have to admit. Martin Man, evening to you as well. What did you say? Sorry. Big heavyweights, anything's possible. Parker surely too skilled, but I would love Wardley to win. What a story that would be. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised. I'm kind of, like I said at the start of the stream, Martin, like I'm getting closer to I'm kind of like 65-35 in favor of Parker at the moment. I might even get closer come fight night. I just feel like those three fights for Parker haven't convinced me entirely. I was impressed by that Wilder fight, just because Wilder, like, is as much as he's technically flawed, you actually boxed okay at times in that fight. And, you know, Parker was able to take the center of the ring. I'm going to show some footage later just from my breakdown of Parker, just to kind of show what Parker was doing in that fight and what he might actually have to do in this fight versus Wardley. But I'll get onto that after we have a look at Wardley's record. But yeah, guys, like I said, feel free to leave your questions in the chat. And just a reminder, if you guys are wanting to buy the pay-per-view this weekend, there's a QR code on the screen. It's also, I think I pinned it in the chat. And yeah, feel free to sign up, use my link, help support the channel. And I think I've left a poll in the chat as well for who you guys think, so feel free to vote in that, and we can see the results at the end. But yeah, might as well take a look at Wardley's last five. Don't know if you guys can see. Hey Adam, how's it going, man? Good to have you. All right, Reese, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Good. Okay, and we'll get on to Wardley. And yeah, I think, like, Adelaide, he's a tough contender at the moment, isn't he? As much as maybe he's also a bit technically flawed as well. That was a good matchup, a good level up for Wardley against another kind of up-and-coming guy. Obviously, Wardley also beat Nathan Gorman as well, who comes from a very good amateur background as well. And he managed to, he kind of struggled in that first round, but as soon as he managed to hurt Gorman, it was kind of downhill from there. And similar with Adelaide, Adelaide was very aggressive, rough in the inside with Wardley, kind of made him a little bit uncomfortable at first, but then once kind of Wardley started getting his range behind his jab and setting up the right hand behind it, it was kind of a straightforward win for him in the end. As much as Adelaide can be a bit difficult fighter to face. Now, obviously, the Fraser-Clark fight, you know, Clark with all that amateur pedigree, obviously won bronze at the Olympics. You know, I actually kind of favored Clark going into that fight just because of, you know, I just thought the fundamentals from Clark, that background would have probably helped him to push on. But as we saw in that fight, Clark kind of, he has a very good jab. He has actually deceptively quick hands as well, but he just it was the power advantage of Wardley, and Wardley was able to set him up with some big punches as well. And the fact Wardley took some damage, to his nose, and he just kind of absorbed a lot of these big shots from Clark, and he still managed to come back and really put it on him at times and set up that right hand. So that, it was a close. I wouldn't say it was close. I thought Wardley, maybe a draw was probably a fair result. I think Clark got some points deducted in that fight as well, alongside the knockdown, as much as Clark won some rounds. But that's what I mean. And then, the rematch going into that, you make one mistake, you're done for. And, obviously Wardley kind of used a little strategy. I don't know if you guys saw my Fabio Wardley breakdown. That's something he does. He does a little swipe of the lead hand, as if you're leaving your lead hand out. He swipes it down, and then he times it at the same time with the right hand. And that's how he managed to hurt Fraser Clark in the first place. But interestingly, he also did that in the first fight, and that's something they wanted to exploit. And I think, once again, that could be a strategy against Joseph Parker. But I'll show you some footage soon in a sec after that. And like I said, guys, keep your questions coming. I will get to them soon, and I'll answer them. So feel free to leave it in the chat. And obviously the Justice Huni, just to touch on that fight as well. The thing about this, and people are kind of comparing Joseph Parker to Huni, and that's not necessarily the case at all. For me, Huni, obviously he's a lot younger. I think Wardley mainly struggled with the hand speed of Huni and the foot speed of him being able to break the range and smother his work. And that's not necessarily Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker likes a little bit of range between him and his opponent, so he can also set up his attacks. And Huni is more about using his quick hand speed, his combinations quickly, and smothering your work and getting to work on the inside. And also just the use of Huni's high guard as well. I think it didn't give Wardley as many opportunities to land, and that's why I think he really struggled in that fight. Maybe Wardley wasn't as fit as he probably wanted to. I don't know. He just seemed a bit. I can't really explain. He just didn't really seem to have the gas tank himself. It was after the third round where he kind of let his hands go at one point, and we thought maybe he might be able to take Huni out. He seemed to his energy just seemed to drip after that, and it took him a while to get back into the fight. So yeah, it's an interesting one, because I don't think Parker fights like that at all. He's not necessarily the quickest with his feet. But yeah, well, I'll show you that footage soon, guys, and we'll kind of go over that. But I just wanted to show some predictions from some other heavyweights. You just give me 1 sec to share my screen. So, who was it? Yeah, no, this is what I thought was interesting. Obviously, we got Lawrence Okoli, and he said, "I can see myself stopping them both in spectacular fashion. But in regards to them fighting each other, the brain says Parker, but the gut says Wardley. So I'm going to go with Wardley KO." Which is an interesting thought. I don't know about you guys, but man, Lawrence Okoli, I really struggle watching him, or I have for his career. But he's actually looked pretty good since moving up to heavyweight. Apart from that last fight against Lorena, I thought that was a horrible fight, but he's looked okay in the other fights. I believe he's fighting in December in the Africa card in Nigeria, I think. And what was the other? Yeah, Kabayel. What did he say? Parker versus Wardley will definitely be a very, very interesting fight. I have to take my hat off to Parker. He never shies away from a challenge and always wants to step in the ring with the best to bring out the top performance. But if I had to make a prediction for this fight, I'd say Parker, because throughout his career, he's faced higher level opponents and been through tougher battles. I think Parker will win this fight, whether by knockout or points. Like I said, I know I'm not the best at making predictions, but I believe Parker will take the win. Kind of sounds like a ChatGPT one. I think, yes, someone's kind of commented that, whether he was translating what he was saying, but I guess he thinks Parker's going to win, which is still interesting. And Alois, What did he say? Wardley by KO, but I guess he trains with him, doesn't he? He's part of Ben Davidson's team. What did Anthony Yard say? I think Wardley can do it. He's got raw talent and knows how to fight. I see it being a great fight. Derek Chisora, Fabio wins. I get why they're supporting their guy, aren't they? You know, the British compatriot, I guess. So of course they're going to say that. But no, it's interesting nonetheless. I've been looking around, and most people are going with Parker at the moment, and I suspect that will be the case with a lot of you guys as well. But yeah, feel free to leave your predictions in the chat as well, and I will get to the chat questions soon. Okay. And I just get up Fabio's thing now. Just give me 1 sec. So yeah, sorry, going back to that Huni fight, and I think as the rounds kind of went on, I think one of the things that worked for Fabio was using that body jab against Huni. And I think that's going to be a strategy in this fight as well, if I'm being honest. I think there's definitely openings in Parker's guard for that, but it really could come down to who can land the first big shot first. I think that it really could come down to that, guys. And yeah, I think the issue with Ward, or the plus side about Wardley, is that he's just so damn powerful with that right hand. If he lands on you, you're going to feel it. And the thing about Parker, though, he's shown he can absorb these big shots as well, but he can also be hurt at the same time. You know, he's shown good recovery, so that's where I think, you know, if Wardley, let's say, is able to maybe knock him down, I could still see Parker maybe getting through it and being able to survive and make it a fight. So yeah, it's an interesting one. But yeah, I just want to go onto this footage, and I was kind of going to do like a more of a little film study, but I just thought it might be best to show some of the footage instead, just to kind of give you guys my thoughts on how it could go down. If you just give me 1 sec. Just need to find this. Okay, here we go. I will improve. Okay, how do I expand this? Yeah, there we go. So this is the flaws section in my breakdown I did on Fabio Wardley, which you guys can check out after. And obviously, like I said, with the hand speed of Huni, we just watched that. You know, just here, like, it's just, he's very quick with his hand speed. And can Joseph Parker do what Huni did in that respect? Now, this is a thing I wanted to point out. Fabio, now and again, he just puts a lot of weight in that front foot. And he kind of overextends with the lead hand, trying to land the body jabs. You can kind of see, I think he does it here. Yeah, so he gets even caught out. If I just pause it at the right moment. So because he's leaning forward, if you can time him, just leaning forward with that quick kind of up jab, you can get him kind of walking and shuffling into range. Now Parker, he's been changing his guard a little bit more from a kind of low guard, long guard, and even from a high guard. So he's using his lead hand in different positions. So that's where I think he could be able to catch Wardley out, and not just with the jab, but also the right hands. And you can see even there with the Huni, he was leaning forward trying to land the jab. Huni's able just to time him, basically. Kind of doubles up the jab and then sets up the backhand. Interestingly, just with that little move there from Huni, I don't know if you guys saw, he actually pulls down Wardley's backhand to take away his defense, which is really smart. Then lands the overhand right. And see, even just there, you know, look at, he's just so much weight on that front foot. Oh. And I have totally just skipped back by accident. Sorry, guys. Just trying to get to it. Yeah, here it is. Sorry. See how he's just leaning forward? It just invites the opportunity for guys to attack. And the thing is about Fabio Wardley, though, that he does use upper body movement at times. I think maybe as the fight goes on, you know, maybe his reactions aren't as good. And, you know, he will, like, you'll mainly move to his right, won't he? And look to smother you as you come into range. But see, they're even going with the body jab. And I think this is going to be a strategy from them in this fight, because I think there's openings on Joseph Parker. But I also think if Fabio Wardley's going to the body too much with the body jab, I think there's a huge opening there for the right hand to come over the top, especially if he's leaning forward, you know, and he's off balance. He can get caught with something really big there. You can see in this example, Kofi almost gets him. But Parker, obviously a much more explosive puncher. And the other thing as well, I found with Fabio, we just play that back. He will occasionally go into the high guard, but he's very open. He gets caught with the uppercuts almost every time. Guys have clicked on to when he goes into the high guard. Once again, he's putting a lot of weight on the front foot, leaning over into it. And even you can see here, Clark gets the uppercut through. See how much weight's on that front foot? And that's a one from Gorman as well, managed to get through. And, Reese, yeah, you were saying, sorry, dips a lot to his right. You can see him a lot of left hooks if he hasn't fixed that. Yeah, like I said, you can see here, he's bent down at his waist to his right. You can get caught a lot doing that. And yeah, it's a risky one, isn't it? No, I think Parker's also shown he's good at throwing the left hook. He can double it up as well. So, you know, that's a punch they need to watch out for. And you got to hope that Andy Lee's kind of worked on that. Something. Or trying to maybe like double jab to force him to bend to that side to set up something. But you can see even there, he's kind of bending over to his right. And then it's giving Huni the opportunity to land the right hand over the top. You see there? I'll just replay that again. You see through the left hook, he's kind of bent to his kind of right side. And then Huni's able to go over the top. So it's like there's definitely flaws for Joseph Parker to exploit in this fight. And I can that's the other thing. The thing Joseph Parker will need to watch out for, obviously, is that right hand, if we're being frank. Wardley will kind of look to land it and slip off the line, but if you time him and you're able to slip off at the same time quickly enough, you can get more damage in him. Who was it? Manny Pacquiao did it against Marquez in this. Was it the second fight or the third? I think it was the second fight. He caught Marquez with that. Just timing him with the slip and then throwing the overhand at the same time. Even there, you know, as he's coming in, he's trying to land the overhand right as he's coming forward. And I think, Clark actually gets him with an uppercut and then follows it up with the left hook. So yeah, as you can see, there's lots of flaws within his style. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how if Fabio adapts for Parker at all, or if Parker can set him up with the left hook or the right hand over the top, if he's leaning in too much on that front foot. Because at the end of the day, Fabio Wardley is most dangerous when he's setting his feet, you know, and if you're moving all the time or pressing him and forcing him on the back foot, he's not really a back foot fighter like that. He needs to be setting his feet. So yeah, I think that's the thing. You can't let him get comfortable, and you can't give him, and you need to be feinting coming into range as well. That's the other thing. You can't just be marching forward. Otherwise, he'll time you, as Huni suffered. But yeah, sorry, I'll get to some of these questions, and then I'll kind of look at some Parker stuff. So don't know if we have any questions. Adam, thanks for your question, mate. Big fan, mate. Keep up the good work from New Zealand. Good stuff, man. Big up New Zealand. Big up Parker. Stan, Wardley taking the beating and still exchanging blows was impressive for any man, in my opinion. I suppose you're talking about the Clark fight. Adam, what do you say, man? Parker tends to start slow while Wardley comes out aggressive. How do you see the clash of tempos playing out? Well, yeah, I think Parker's quite a slow starter, as you said. Like he's not like a Huni who's got quick hands and he fights at that kind of rhythm. He's not someone that really fights in that type of rhythm. It's kind of more broken rhythm at times. He's more patient. He's more waiting for you to make the mistake. And I can't really see Wardley coming out too aggressively either. Like, I can't see him. I can see him trying to box him a little bit like he did in the Clark fight. Even, you know, watch the first round of the rematch, the second fight, and they were kind of boxing with each other, and that's how I suspect Wardley to kind of come out, kind of trying to establish his jab and going to the body, feinting, seeing how Parker reacts as well, and I'm sure Parker's going to do the same. So I expect maybe like a close couple of rounds, unless someone makes a mistake and gets caught out. You know, this could be over in a round if Parker fucks up, basically. So I expect Parker to be fully switched on, kind of taking his time in the first few rounds, if I'm being honest, working out his feints, working out what Fabio's trying to do. But I also suspect Fabio will try and establish his jab and just wait for the openings. Because there's going to be openings on Parker too, which I think Fabio will be able to exploit. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Reese, I think it's inevitable that the cut on Wardley's nose opens up. Yeah, it's a strange one because the cut is like on the bridge of his nose, isn't it? So it could open up a little bit more. But I don't think it really. Obviously, it says blood everywhere, but I'm not too sure if it actually affects his breathing that bad. From what I've heard him say, it's just not pretty to have a cut gushing like that for 12 rounds. But yeah, it could play a factor. Especially if it hurts when it's open, you know, and you're getting peppered with jabs. It's not pretty. Sorry, Reese. Yeah, I've already got to that. Sorry, just get to this one. Do you think Wardley would beat Dave Allen? Personally, yeah. Yeah, I just think Wardley's too powerful for Dave Allen. And I think the fact Wardley would be a lot more willing to trade. Yeah, I just think he managed to get something through. But actually, you know, that's a good style matchup, potentially. Depending what happens in this fight, let's say Wardley gets beat up pretty bad by Parker or loses by knockout, you know, maybe that's an option for Wardley and Dave Allen going forward. But obviously Dave's with Matchroom, so I don't know how that would work out going forward. It's so hard to judge what level he's at because he always pulls that bomb out the back. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. He's so powerful. And speaking about that, why don't we watch some of his knockouts? If I just get them up. And yeah, guys, as I do that, feel free to add some more questions to the chat. Sorry, and I will get to them in a sec. But yeah, let's watch.
There's all sorts of heavyweight.
So he is a sucker to the overhand right, so expect Fabio to start looking for that, as he does there.
Well, Hodgins told him to change the levels, go body first. However he wants to, he can really fight Fabio Wardley. Right hand to the body, partially blocked. Just exploded through Dassault and an uppercut, and down he goes inside the first minute and a half.
Firing back, he's doing what all good champions do, coming back, but he's got to worry about that left hook counter from Gorman because he's waiting for it.
We've seen this in the career.
And they're looking at picking the shots.
Now Wardley goes on the attack once again, gets through with that right hand.
He kept those gloves up, he's on the receiving end though, the straight right hand gets through, and he's on the right here, down he goes!
He's just been outboxed a little bit. And Wardley's doing the right thing.
Just the way he does it.
That's the
What happens when he lands? Wardley already has
He's gotta take a coach.
in trouble, downstairs and upstairs.
He's got to keep his composure now, Wardley.
They call this round 13, they're taking it where they left off, and down goes Clark!
Shoot, Rans!
He doesn't look good! He looks terrible!
Sorry, just back now. And yeah, as you can see, like, hopefully just watching that again, just reminding you guys that how dangerous he is. And just watching that again, you know, the thing that strikes me is that he's a very underrated combination puncher. He's very good at actually putting his punches together in combinations at times, going to the body and using the natural transfer of weight after he throws the right hand to throw the left hook, for example. Sure, maybe sometimes it's not as technically perfect, but it doesn't matter, in my opinion, necessarily all the time, because he's getting the punches through and they're landing. And I think that says a lot about him, the fact where he started from, and he's able to land these big shots so consistently. Yeah, it's impressive. And yeah, sorry. So I'm on the Parker bit, and I do want to just kind of show Parker's guard. I know I kind of talked about this in my breakdown, and under Andy Lee now, you know, Parker is kind of using a kind of like, he's brought up, if you watch Parker in his younger days, he would box in the back foot with that lead hand down, and he'd try and throw snappy kind of flicker up jabs, and they just weren't, over time, you know, it might conserve him a little bit of energy, dropping the hand down, but it just didn't do it for me in terms of keeping guys off, especially better guys, you know, Dillian White, Anthony Joshua. They just, you know, they weren't bothered by these jabs Parker used to throw. But, you know, since teaming up with Andy Lee, he's just established that jab a lot better. He's just more assertive with it. But because of that, he's put it in a kind of higher position, as you guys can see here. And this is where I kind of worry in this fight with Wardley. Obviously, Wardley does that sweep of the lead hand to set up the right hand over the top. And you got to worry, I think, could he be able to catch Parker out with that? That's a question I have. And I think what Parker just needs to do in that position, you know, if Wardley does come back like that, he just needs to take that step back. But the thing is, Wardley can be pretty quick at doing it. And you can see here, like, he just uses a higher guard now, generally. Little feints with the lead hand, just kind of keeping guys guessing. But saying that, there's still openings for someone like Wardley to attack him. You know, he can, let's say, you know, Fabio, he does have a bit of a longer reach, I believe. You know, stepping in, going to the body jabs with those hard body jabs, but obviously it leaves him open to the right hand. And he is fluid. And this is just the bit I wanted to show about, you know, his positioning in the ring, Parker. He just stands his ground, feinting, keeping his head off the line. You see there. Just a higher guard. He's just a lot more disciplined. And that's where I think in this fight, I think obviously the Zhang fight, he kind of fought with a lower lead hand for whatever reason. And that kind of got him caught out a lot more. But against kind of like Joseph Parker, I think he kind of perfected what he had to do in that fight, you know? Just controlling the center of the ring, feints, as you can see there, and just pushing him back, making him nervous. And he has the advantage of, you know, he's in the center. He can move back if Wilder does explode forward. But the thing is, Wardley's not going to be moving around like Wilder was. He needs to be set in his feet, as I said. So a part of me feels like Parker is going to have to take a little bit more of initiative at times to kind of close the range. But he just needs to be really smart with his head movement coming in and probably fighting out of a higher guard as well. There's no point, you know, coming in with like a low lead hand, or you're just going to get caught coming back in, you know? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see, you know, kind of what Parker does. I think that's the smart thing to do, especially if Wardley's throwing these hard overhand rights. He's just blocking there, you can see from Keane. And that's how he has to approach it against Wardley. Just be very disciplined with his defense. Feinting and move and kind of just trying to control the center of the ring to push Wardley back. You can't really give him the space, and you can't really let him get set in his feet. But does Parker have the ability to do that? Maybe at times versus Zhang. Obviously, it's an open stance battle. It's slightly different. He stood his ground a little bit too much, but he was using good head movement at first, but he still got caught out himself. But it's a different dynamic, that fight, because of the Zhang being a southpaw. And he still is able to fight back. And I think this is the thing with Parker in this fight. I think he just needs to take more initiative. And not let Fabio get the timing on him and get into a rhythm. Because that was the mistake Huni made in round 5 in that fight. He just didn't... You know, as much as Huni was winning all those rounds, he kind of let Huni get into a rhythm. I'm sorry, he let Wardley get into a rhythm, sorry. And then in that 10th round, he was going to the body, and then Wardley would come back every single time. Huni would come back every single time with the right hand trying to land it. And eventually, Fabio was able to time him with that huge overhand right. And that was the beginning of the end, really. But this is what I mean. He just needs to, these feints, keep Fabio hesitant. Keep the center of the ring. Keep moving, being fleet-footed. Keeping him guessing. And having the space behind him, like I said, you know, like Wardley likes to do that sweep of the lead hand, so he could get caught out. And as we saw against Wilder, he was able to set up that right overhand right against him, over the top. And if you guys were here for the Fabio Wardley part I just talked about, Fabio puts a lot of weight in that front foot as he jabs to the body or even up top. And that's an opportunity for Parker to land with the right hand over the top. The one thing I will say, when Parker does he falls into his punches sometimes a little bit much, loses balance. Trying to land something. See, he lost balance there just before, you can see here at this moment. He squares up a little bit, but here just a feint to the body, and then he comes up over the top of the overhand right. You know, things like that are going to make the difference, in my opinion. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. But overall, I have to admit, I'm probably leaning more towards Parker getting the victory. I think, as much as I think Wardley can do it, and I think he's capable of doing it, just mainly from the fact he has so much power, and we've obviously seen Parker get hurt. I just think that with all of Parker's experience, he should really be winning this fight. And I just think he has overall throughout his career faced the better opponents. You'd hope he'd be able to do this from his perspective, especially with the opportunity of fighting Usyk. And I kind of think, you know, how would Wardley have got on against these opponents? For example, would Wardley have struggled against unfit Bakole? Probably not. He might have probably been able to knock him out as well. Would Wardley have struggled against Zhang? Potentially, yeah. You know, Zhang's a big puncher as well, southpaw. We've not really seen Wardley against that many southpaws, have we? And then Wilder, big banger as well. I'd probably still, I don't know, would you have favored Wardley in that fight? That's an interesting one. You know, I like to kind of compare, you know, how they would have got on against their opponents. And that's what I mean. Like, when you look at Wardley's last five, how would Parker have gone against Adelaide? Probably would have won that. I'd favor Parker against Fraser Clark as well, probably by knockout as well. Justice Hooney, I think Parker would have struggled as well, just with the hand speed and the movement. I don't think Wardley's the exception. So people are forgetting that part. But yeah, no, it should be a good fight. But yeah, let me know in the chat, guys, what you guys are thinking. And let me just have a look at the poll. I don't know how we're doing in the poll at the moment. You just give me 1 sec. And feel free to leave your questions in the chat, and I will get to it. I'll just about to cover the undercard, give you my thoughts on that. All right, how are we doing in the poll? 19 votes. So most of you are going Parker just from looking at that. 20 votes Parker now. That's what I thought. I thought most people would be picking Parker, if I'm being frank. But I still feel like Wardley's kind of getting discredited as having like no boxing ability at all. I think he's actually very underrated. I think he's put in a lot of work over the years. I think he's developed really well considering where he's come from. And I don't think he's as bad as people make out. Yeah, sure, he can't really box that as well on the back foot like Joseph Parker or guys like that, but he's still very effective. And because he's got that punching power usually behind his lead hand, you know, he's dangerous. You know, he's an intelligent fighter, I think, Wardley. He doesn't get the credit, in my opinion. And yeah, guys, if you're in the stream, make sure to like it. Really helps out. And if you've got any questions, feel free to leave it in the chat as well. And if you guys are wanting to watch the fight this weekend, you can sign up using my link. It really helps support the channel. And I believe if you don't have your DAZN subscription, you also get a 7-day free trial if you sign up using my link as well. So just another thing for you as well. And yeah, we'll get on to the undercard. And if we're being frank, it's not the greatest. I was looking forward to the Taylor versus Egmonton. I think that's his name. Is it Edmonton who pulled out? Sorry if I got that wrong. Yeah, I was looking forward to that fight because I thought it was going to be quite competitive. But yeah, the IBO World Cruiserweight title up for grabs. I can't even say his name. He's Albanian, I believe. I've watched him once before. Got a big fan base, so you can suspect Frank's probably put him up to win that fight. Still looking forward to see Ezra Taylor, just to see how he develops under Malik Scott. I think that'll be interesting. And he's fighting Steve Woodall, who, I've watched a couple of times. I believe he lost to Leron Richards, and if he's knocking you out, it's not really a good sign for him. But yeah, hopefully a good development fight for Ezra Taylor, and yeah, we'll see how that gets on. And then we've got the Arnie Dawson versus Mitchell Smith for the WBO European lightweight title. Not really interested in that, if I'm being honest. And we've got Royston Barney Smith versus Danny Quartermain. I believe that's how you say his name. And Barney Smith, I think he looks good. I'm excited to see how he gets on in the future. But yeah, not the strongest undercard. And yeah, you never know. There might be some good fights on the undercard. You never know. We'll see what happens. Oh, Murdoch Boxing Man, how's it going? Appreciate you joining. If you guys don't know Murdoch, he has got an exceptional YouTube channel. Make sure to check it out and keep it up, man. You're doing a great job over there. Do you think Parker hits harder, is more technically sound than Hooney? Probably. I think just because of the experience and who he's been in there with Murdoch, I just think he's a probably all round a better fighter. But I think probably Hooney at the stages of their careers right now, Hooney is just he's quicker with his footwork and his hand speed compared to Parker. But Parker hits a lot harder than Hooney, as we know. And Hooney, unfortunately, is a little bit chinny, which doesn't help if you're a heavyweight, does it? But saying that, the fact Hooney uses like a high guard makes it difficult for you to break through, probably because he knows he can get hurt. It means he is probably more technically proficient in terms of when he opens up and fires his combinations, or when he uses his footwork to get out of range and in range. So overall, yeah, I think Parker is just a better technical fighter, but Hooney's not bad at all. I think he's only gonna get better, in my opinion. And I think he proved a lot in that Wardley fight. Just has to, hopefully he's just, the chin holds up. So we'll see what happens, man. But no, thanks for joining the stream, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, no, I'll stay on another 10 minutes, guys. So if you've got any last minute questions, feel free to leave it and I will get to it. And I will just cover some other boxing announcements. And Caballel has been announced. He's going to be fighting in January. And I wonder who it will be against. I'm not too sure. I was kind of looking at the rankings today. I was thinking Akoli, but then he's fighting in December now, I believe. Gaziev's meant to be fighting Pulev now. So yeah, it's up in the air in terms of who Caballel could be fighting. I don't know what you guys think about who it could be. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see Caballel back. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's very underrated as well in terms of his skill set. He's also got tremendous footwork too. Very underrated. As much as people go on about his body attacks, he's very effective. And then Matchroom announced Ritalia and Cruz are going to be fighting. They won the purse bid for that fight. So excited to see these two in actions because Ritalia, I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I think he's a great fighter as well. He's obviously very powerful, good boxing IQ, good skills, and obviously Cruz with that Cuban background. Man, he's a very good fighter. So very skillful, and he seems to be really developing well into the pros. So, and it is for the IBF World Lightweight title as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this goes down. I think that will be a really good fight. But yeah, so if you guys got any last questions, please leave it in the chat and I will get to it. And if you are going to buy the pay-per-view this weekend, you can use the QR code, or I think I've pinned it in the chat. I believe you guys can get it, or in the description if you want after. But yeah, I guess I'll just get back to Joseph Parker and Wardley just to finish it up and give you my last kind of final thoughts. So yeah, I think Parker, just due to his experience, I think it probably will help him get the job done. As you guys saw, if you were here earlier, you can go back and watch back. He was pretty effective at oh, sorry, it froze for me. No, what I was saying was there's openings for Parker to exploit on Wardley in terms of him leaning forward on that front foot. He puts a lot of weight in that front foot, and I really think he's very open to those shots. I think he's in real danger, Wardley, from Parker, to especially with Parker's right hand over the top. I think they'll be looking out for that. But then at the same time, I think Parker, because of this new kind of this new guard that he uses, he kind of keeps it a bit higher, but he also uses it as a long guard, and that's where I'm a bit concerned about if Fabio can maybe time him sweeping that away and landing the right hand over the top. I really think that's a possibility could happen in this fight. Yeah, like I said, as the fights got closer, I've kept thinking that Wardley has a decent shot. I would not be surprised if he wins this fight. I really wouldn't. I think he's got underrated boxing IQ. He's got great timing, and if Parker messes up once, it could be the end of the show. And it's not going to be like a Zhang who doesn't have the gas tank to press on and finish him off. This is different. Wardley, as we saw in the Clark fights, and throughout his whole career, once he smells blood, he goes for it and he keeps coming forward and he'll try and get the finish. And would Parker survive that? Obviously, we saw with like Joe Joyce, for example. You know, at the time anyway, Joe Joyce had the gas tank before he started kind of fading away. He was able to keep pressing forward and managed to finish off Parker in that fight. And that's my concern. If Parker gets hurt, I can easily see Wardley winning the fight. But if Parker's as intelligent, like he did in the Wilder fight, if he's intelligent and he takes his time, he should be able to win this fight. Look to counter Wardley and just keep moving. You know, the thing is, Wardley can't box going backwards really, and the only thing he can really do is time you as you come in. So yeah, he needs to be intelligent as he does it. But yeah, it should be a good one. I'm really looking forward to it. And as we can see in the poll, I will just end it now, I guess. Most of you are going for a Parker victory. 80% Parker, 20% Wardley. And I think, you know, maybe a lot of people are kind of thinking that's going to be the case. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, guys. I hope you are too. Like I said, use the link in the description or in the chat or in the screen, or the QR code in the screen to sign up, and you can help support the channel that way. I really appreciate it. So as always, guys, I'm going to end it there, and I appreciate your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Enjoy the fight this weekend, and I might do a reaction video on the Sunday if we get an upset potentially. But yeah, enjoy, guys, and as always, see you in the next one.